Hello, Scott here, and welcome back to another episode of A Pull from a Shelf. This is a series where I take a book from my library that I'm either unfamiliar with, haven't spent a lot of time with, or one that I feel deserves to be in the spotlight. Today's focus is going to be Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland, but not just this one right here. We're also going to take a look at the second printing, the Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland Total Carnage Edition, and maybe do a little bit of a compare and contrast to see what changes may have been applied between the first printing and the second printing, and also some things that may drive you towards getting the newer printing with all the extra bells and whistles that it provides. But before we dive in, what exactly is Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland? Well, for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, it is a post-apocalyptic game, which I kind of feel like the cover art presents itself as such, but one that revels in the nostalgic area of the 80s and 90s and all the aesthetics therein, but one that doesn't really wallow in it, but celebrates it and turns it up to 11. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and give a little read here on the back of the first printing to give you a general idea of what to expect. So let's go ahead and focus this over here. All right, bear with me. My eyesight is not what it used to be, and being slightly colorblind makes certain colors mesh together. So one thing you will notice as I go through this is there's a lot of different fonts that's going to be presented throughout this book, and that is definitely something that we want to focus on, depending on people's different abilities and the way that they read and absorb their books. Anyways, moving on. Mutants and Mullets, the Neon Wars of 1992 destroyed Earth and paved their way for the Gnarly Age, an age where magic and technology mash, where mutants and monsters roam the toxic wastelands and ruins of the forgotten world. Only the strong survive in this new kill-or-be-killed world where attitude is everything. Take up the mantle of a scumdog adventurer to brave the dangers of the wastelands in search of cash and prizes. Collect fantastical gear, and wield the galaxy's most powerful weapons to become the baddest dude in Neo-Terraxx. No need to lug around 3 separate books in order to play a tabletop RPG. This book has everything you need to jump right in and start slaying mutants and gobbling up all the rich stuff. The Neon Wastelands are waiting for you. What's your excuse? By Super Savage Systems, 16-bit bad RP or 16-bit rad RPGs. So, yes, I mean, reading that, it's going to sound very familiar to a lot of post-apocalyptic games, but it's definitely something that's going to draw my attention and others into it. But it is what it's inside that makes it slightly different as far as what's being, I guess, what the fashion focus, so to speak, the aesthetic focus is within the RPG that makes it different from all the others. So, but I'm going to set this one aside for now, and I'm going to start with the second printing, the Total Carnage Edition, and kind of maybe as I come across differences, I will go ahead and highlight them. But primarily, just want to focus on the RPG itself, regardless of what edition is, because I want to present this to you. So we'll kind of set that over there, and take a little drink here, a little dried out today. Okay, so just also want to be open about this. The Total Carnage Edition was provided by Brian Shutter, who is the author of this wonderful RPG, and so take that for what it's worth. It is. I feel I'm fairly open when it comes to my personal opinions on a lot of RPGs, and I don't get a lot of review copies. So, but I do feel that it is something I need to make people who watch who are aware of this, but also know that even before this was provided to me, that I was a big fan of not only the RPG, but the entire fan base that comes with Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland. And I'll touch on that a little bit later, but with that being said, I mean, it is what it is. So will it affect my first impressions or review of the book? Let's be honest. I didn't get any money for this. I was provided a very lovely book. So maybe it will, maybe it won't. But clearly stated, going into this, I was already a fan. So much appreciation to Brian for providing this book to me to enjoy, but also to highlight and show everyone watching what they can expect when they pick up this RPG. So, all right. So one of the first things that I noticed when I was looking at the book, sorry, I'm going to take another drink here, is that the book, the reprinting of the book itself comes with, a slipcover. The other one did not. And as I opened it, so we're going to see, you can see right there, beautiful cover here. I believe this is by Mustafa Becker. I apologize. I always mess it up, Mustafa. But cover art, yes. So, and his artwork will be highlighted throughout the book. But there's a lot of wonderful artists involved in this. But Mustafa is currently one of my favorite modern artists right now. He does artwork for Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland. He does a lot of artwork for Warlock, the wonderful homage to Warhammer and I forget the other one, but they also do another one that's an homage to Warhammer 40K. But Mustafa's artwork is fantastic, and it is directly influenced by old school black and white RPGs, especially those with the heavy ink lines and within the book, and just wonderfully detailed down to the smallest level. But here you go. So this beautiful cover. First and foremost, I do like I do like the cover of the first edition, because it does kind of tell you what you're going to get, as all covers should. You're going to go into a bombastic, toss-up of neon colors and crazy post-apocalyptic nonsense that is going to provide you, with a lot of hours of fun and play within the RPG. And also as stated, it does highlight the 80s 90s aesthetics with the colors and everything. But this one is definitely not bad, but this one is a different take, and I do like the style. It is a little darker. It's not quite as colorful and boisterous as the first printing, but it is still a beautiful, beautiful cover. So I'm just going to go ahead and slip this out and set it aside here. So first off, this is the first thing that I noticed that is going to be different with the second printing of the book. Sorry, my allergies are acting up. So what you get in here is kind of a neat little board game, something that is somewhat reminiscent of a lot of the games that you would get in things like Dragon Magazine or White Dwarf, where it's still within the world of Neon Lords, but it's kind of a little survival board game as you make your way through this maze and acquire loot, avoid traps, avoid encounters, and also fight player versus player to get out of the maze, and the first one that makes it out wins. So this is just a neat little thing a neat little aesthetic thing that comes with it. Now, I mean, are you going to put your 4 or 5 players into a maze, and the first one that makes it out wins, and everyone automatically dies? If your players are up for it, I mean, why the hell not? I mean, that's just the kind of Gonzo-esque aspect that this game provides. But it could also just be a little side thing just to have fun with, and most especially, I didn't bring him here. I wish I did, but it also, the game comes with Pogs, which aren't just for show. They're utilized within the game, but they can also be player pieces for this here. So it came from Dimension X. So it's a little game here that is provided in the little slipcover. So second edition or second printing, I keep saying. I don't know. I don't really consider this a second edition because it's pretty much identical beat for beat, except maybe a little bit of formatting and some extra stuff thrown in and minor art changes. But essentially the same game, just more good stuff, not just stuff thrown in to make it bigger. So this edition was made by Brian Shutter, words and layout, Mustafa Bekir, art and sound advice, and Rude Rob E, wanted for crimes against the state. So Rude Rob E is he's your escort. He's someone that's going to guide you through the book as you go through it, and he provides commentary and color as you go through the different sections of the book. And I will point that out. The art, one of the first things I noticed too, is the artwork for Rude Rob had changed. So, all right. So as you can see here, it does have the same characters as the original book, just done in a different style, different color styling and whatnot. So, but again, just looking at this is going to give you a general idea of the utter glorious chaos that you're going to be involved in when you play Neon Lords of the Toxic Wastelands. So, all right. So, second edition or second printing. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean. So, would like to take a moment to highlight some of the other people involved in here. So, as mentioned in the cover, Brian Shutter, primary designer, creator of Words, and likewise Gavin Reiser also provides additional writing within the game. Cover art by Mustafa Bekir, editing by Ryan Boyd, interior art Mustafa Bekir again, Ross Hayes, Chris Carmen, John DeSantos, Diogo Noguera, Lucas Kowalczyk, Eric Webb, Paul Caprio, and Michael Harmon, Chris Freeman, Kevin Anderson, and then continuing on, we have a layout by Brian Shutter, additional proofreading and suggestions, Eric Webb, Jeffrey Runokivi, second printing, proofreading, and suggestions, Jason Exum. All right, so this is an OSR game. I believe, the rules themselves are a derivative of BX, and it's very apparent when you get into the rules of it. But it really takes BX for a ride. We'll say that for the most part. So, one of the things that you're going to notice is when you go through the books is there's going to be an onslaught of artwork, not unlike things such as Dungeon Crawl Classics, different style, and it's going to be a different format. But you are going to get, if you do like a variety of art within your RPG that still maintains the aesthetic, the look, and the appeal of the game, it doesn't really take you out of it by a lot of contrasting artwork. This definitely has it by the loads. So yeah, I am going to just kind of give you a general idea. I'm going to flip through the first few pages here, which is going to give you the opening credits and the original, this artwork here, and we go into the table of contents, and so you'll see that there's an introduction player section, another chapter character creation, fresh to death, and bros for hire. Then we got spell casting. The most excellent of adventures, which it does provide you with quite a variety of adventures within both printings. Neon Lords, section 148, where it gives you a lot of additional bells and whistles, rich stuff, and fantastical items. And then Slay the Creeps, which is their bestiary. And then finally Space Bulk, which is a large adventure dungeon-esque crawl at the end of the book. So, again, just want to compare and contrast here for a moment. So as you can see, it does pretty much, provide the same. A lot of these pages are going to be identical. Again, some of the artwork is going to be different, as you can see here. And some of the artwork is going to be the same, as you can see here, along with a lot of the formatting and whatnot. But as you can tell, certain things are different here. The chapters are essentially the same, but the most excellent adventures you do get in the original printing. You get Total Carnage, Total Bummer, and To the Max. In the new one, you get Total Carnage, a combat cheat sheet, Total Bummer, and To the Max. So you get a little bit extra there. In the Neon Lords section, there's going to be certain additional things here that are added to it. But the biggest change here is the adventure in the back. This has a lot of small adventures near the end of the book. Space Truckers Must Die. Excuse me. Operation Cherry Bomb, and then a couple extra things that are thrown in there. This one has a large adventure, like I said, a Dungeon-esque crawl. Space Bulk, essentially an homage to Space Hulk, and it's definitely a large adventure. So that's primarily one of the big changes is it does essentially give you the same game. There's going to be different and artwork. Some of the layout may be a little bit different, but they're just giving you extra stuff, and it's good stuff. It's, as I said, it's not just there to bloat it out. But there may be some minor changes that I haven't noticed, because a lot of these things occurred not only because maybe some mistakes were pointed out by the readers, but the original authors and designers of the game just weren't happy with some of the things that how it turned out in the book, and they wanted to change it, and they have the right to do that. This is not George Lucas changing it to where Greedo shot first. This is essentially just the author wanting to add more stuff and extra stuff while maintaining all the stuff that he's provided to you before. So, so I'm going to move this out of the way. All right, so you get your introduction, and it's going to essentially give you the general idea of what the game is. So, post-apocalyptic cassette futurism, Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland is set in a pseudo-medieval Earth built upon the ruins of the Forgotten World. Players assume the roles of characters who explore the massive subterranean labyrinth complexes filled with ancient treasures and esoteric alien technology. Most of the players will play these characters, while one of the player takes on the role of the Game Master. Yes. The ideal party size, 4 to 5, yada, yada, yada. We all know, that part of it. So, why play it? It is an ultra-violent and style matters RPG. Yes, it is. Style matters not just in your characters, but again, it literally just tosses up the entire breakfast of font and formatting within this book. May not be for everyone, but as someone who's dyslexic, I just cannot read a wall of words. Now, mind you, the font changes and whatnot may not be for everyone. It's something different on every page. So I know a lot of people may not like this, but I vastly prefer something like this as opposed to just a giant wall of text. Multi-column, broken up by the occasional bit of artwork, and at least this one is pleasing to my dyslexia, so to speak. I read in packets, so I naturally bounce around like this. Whereas if I'm reading a giant wall of text, I'm just going to drift away and gotta, pinch myself to focus back in and go in and out, and then read it over and over again until it finally sticks. Little bits like this as it goes through the book helps me, but that's those are personal preferences. But anyways, it is an ultra-violent and style matters RPG that builds off the BX rules. Half medieval fantasy, half sci-fi, Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland is a no-holds-barred to the max game with an emphasis on an ability class point system, including fortune points, which grant the player some flexibility in dire roles. Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland has an 80s to 90s action sci-fi look and feel. Yes, a lot of 80s and 90s direct-to-video B-movie type appeal throughout this, and it's fantastic. I'm a big fan of that stuff, so instant appeal to me. Where was I? Neon Lord's Toxic Wasteland is an 80s, 90s action. The setting is post-apocalyptic Earth in which magic mixed with technology of the 80s and early 90s has created the cassette futurism seen in the Neo-Terraxx tech and some of the Xenotech, as well as influencing the overall art style. Neon Lords is over the top, bloody, random, wild, and a hell of a good time. So just chill, crack open some tab, and roll some damage. All right, and here we are. We have our first look at Rude Rob E. So as I said, he's going to be your guide through the book, and he does provide color and commentary as you go through it, as you can see here and here. And that's the one thing that I would probably want to ask is why the change? As you can see, this is how he originally looked. So I'm not entirely sure. I'd like to know what why. It's no big deal if they didn't like it. I enjoy both. This one had compared to this one right here. Why? This one that one, the original one kind of had more of a goofy isn't really the right word, but he seems more like the Crypt Keeper. He's got a more Crypt Keeper appeal. Where this one, looks like it's, Eddie from oh God, I can't believe I'm forgetting from Iron Maiden. So he has a more space metal look, whereas the other one has more of a techno Crypt Keeper look to it. Okay. So how to use this book as we go on through it. So player section, spellcasting, the most excellent adventures, explains all the rules when it comes to exploration and interaction with Neo-Terraxx and beyond, total carnage, the Neon Lord section, rich stuff and fantastical items, slay these creeps, appendices, and space bulk. Obviously, since it's BX, you're going to use the familiar set of standard dice, D4s through D20s. Likewise, it does use percentile dice too. And let's see here. It also has what's called a neon blast roll. Let's see, also known as exploding dice. So exploding dice is in the game also. This occurs when a player or Neon Lord rolls a maximum result on a damage die. They can then roll the die again and add the new result to their original roll. Example: a laser machine gun deals 3d6 damage. The result rolls are 3, 2, and 6 for a total of 11. Since 6 is the highest possible result on a d6, it gets rolled again, resulting in a 4. The 4 is then added to the previous total, making the final damage total 15. Excuse me. So right off the bat, you can tell this game does not fuck around. You're going to get old school OSR deadly aspects already within it. And then you've got exploding damage die on top of it. So continuing on. So yes, we got skill checks within the game. Just advice on what abilities to use for that. Fumbles and criticals. A roll of a natural 1 on a d20 is a fumble. When a player rolls a natural 1 on attack roll, they roll on the total bummer table and accept their fate. Yes. So there's also tables within here. If you're a fan of tables. Again, like I am, it's kind of like this was written for me, just like Dungeon Crawl Classics was. They roll on the total bummer. Deathbringers and Dwarf Leads can spend fortune points to avoid fumbles on their attack rolls. To the max, a roll of a natural 20 is totally rad. It's a critical success or to the max. This lets you dish out swift justice to that prick monster that won't die. A critical success in combat goes to the corresponding to the max. Critical chart for the class, yes. And then saving throws. So, I really don't need to go through a lot of it. I'm just pointing out some of the, the additions to it. BX rules are BX rules. You know them. So the 4 saving throws are grit, agility, resolve, and death. All right. So this is where the game kind of starts immersing you into what it is all about. So... But creation, fairly simple. Roll 3d6 for each of your 7 ability scores. Roll right down the list. You can swap one ability score for another, just once. So you've got burliness, prowess, endurance, brains, Attitude, Sleaze, and Fortune. Then choose between the 12 classes, so there's no shortage of options here. Roll 3d6 for your class ability points. Refer to the class ability points section for further details on how these bad boys turn any wimp into Conan of the Wastelands. Then choose your hairstyle that best fits your character. So yes, there's image is part of the game, just similar to like Cyberpunk. So there's that aesthetic that's also part of it. Add up your modifiers gained from your class and hairstyle, and adjust your ability scores accordingly. Roll up hit points. Each class has the die needed in their own section. Roll up your starting gold and snack up all the additional stuff you may need. And don't forget to hire some dudes for hire. And then lastly, try not to die. So, yes. So going through here, so we've got burliness, prowess, endurance. They're renames of the things that we're familiar with. But again, it's personalized to the game. As things like attitude. You get Twisted Steel and Sex Appeal. So a 3 you're disgusting, and 18 you're super freak, and things. And then finally you got Sleaze, your Sleaze score. It measures your overall likability and credibility. The Sleaze modifier is added to any roles and situations where Sleaze would be a factor, including but not limited to interactions with hirelings after they witness you doing unspeakable acts, being a mutant or possessing any mutations, or bartering within the black market. So your Sleaze score goes from a 3, which is an altar boy, to 19 plus, which is slow, slimy. It's off the charts. All right. So, and then finally you've got Fortune. Right place, right time. Some people are lucky, some ain't. Fortune measures sheer dumb luck. The gods and otherworldly beings like to meddle with the affairs of mortals from time to time, affecting their fortune. Spending fortune points towards rolls. Luck is represented by a pool of points that are rolled for at character creation. The pool never refills naturally. What I mean by this is that unlike class ability points, fortune points don't get regained at the long rest. You may use them. So you may spend fortune points to add to any of their own rolls. Fortune points don't regenerate. Crits can't make crits or add to death saving throws. Can only be added to your own rolls. The character reaches 0 fortune points. Roll on this chart, the bad luck table. So there you go again. So it's got the fortune / luck aesthetic to it to modify your rolls, and so you've already have. You're familiar with the BX rules. You've got a bit of aesthetics in there that are very similar to Cyberpunk, whereas fashion's going to affect certain ability scores and things such as fortune and sleaze and other things such as that. It's going to make for a definitely different experience within the game. So carrying on, you got the different hairstyles. Different hairstyles presented here. So, for example, let's see here. Let's go ahead. What does 3 get you? Strikes fear into the heart of the weak. With no helmet, when no helmet or headgear is worn, it gains you additional +1 to hit, but enemies crit on you on a 19 or 20. So for a mohawk, yeah. So each one of these will give you different pluses and minuses. Different languages. Deities and demi-bros, and then you get to choose a class. So the classes, here we go. So this again, so we go in different levels of this game as far as just the Gonzo-esque aspect that it provides. So I'm just going to breeze through these. You've got Bruticorn, a half bicorn, half machine, all attitude, and you'll see that it's a lot of details are involved with each one of these character classes. So it's definitely something you can want to spend time with. You've got Cosmic Barbarian, Lord Randy be praised. And then we've got Cyberskin, You Can't Stop Progress, Reagan 2000 model. So, it's just a lot of it is just off the charts. We've got Deathbringer, All Men Fear Death, and I Shall Bring Them to It. And we've got Dwarflings here. Carrying on, we've got Heather, So Young, So Bad, So What? And then we've got Holy Smiter, And we've got the Fallen Smiter, so like the Fallen Paladin, so to speak. The Night Stalker, kind of like a martial art. Okay, so yeah, it gives you a bit of information here down at the bottom of what type of characters these are. So religious and wrestling, action and war, and we've got science fiction and action. Okay, science fiction, cult classic, yeah. So essentially, I want to say that those are kind of pointing towards the influences, the type of movies of the time. Like I said, this definitely has been influenced by so many of the sci-fi, post-apocalyptic, cheeseball action movies, especially a lot of the direct-to-video B-flicks that were just no shortage of through the 80s and the 90s. Got Noise Thrasher. Live by the shred, die by the shred. So this right here, is this in? I'm curious if they put in a new class, because this one does not ring a bell to me. So I'm going to take a quick look again, because I just want to point out the differences between the new one and the first printing. Holy Smiter, Night Stalker, Skulljammer, Starspawn, War Wizard. No, okay, so Noise Thrasher. That's another thing that you're going to get with the second printing, with the Total Carnage Edition. You're going to get another character class here. Live by the shred, die by the shred. Horror and musical. Skulljammer, hack the planet. Starspawn, your weak mind needs a new master. War Wizard will tear your soul apart. All right, so there you go. So, I mean, no shortage of interesting characters. Each one has a different variety of skills and things that make them special and different in this crazy apocalyptic wasteland. So carrying on, 3 rules of the wasteland. Anyone not wearing armor has an AC of 9. A PC punching with just their meaty hands is 1 point of damage. Chugging is always a bonus action. All right. So then we've got equipment here. Runs a go-go. So I'm sorry, guns a go-go. So again, I'm not going to go into too much detail here. If there are extra items in here, fantastic. I would imagine that most things would probably have something like that, but if not, no worries, because there's no shortage of it. So firearm damage patterns. So this I believe is something new. Let me just take another look here as we go through it. Guns a go-go. Yep. So it looks like you do get a little extra stuff. Bixby's one-time shop. All right, so that does look like to be something else that it provides to you. So again, making the rules, more easy to understand. We've got fire damage patterns here, shotgun cone damage, as it gives you descriptions on how to handle these various weapons at your table. Shooting into melee is a bad idea. Heavy light flamer cone damage, and so on. And we're carrying on with more items and whatnot. Excuse me. So bros for hire, when the help fires back. So this is where you're going to get your hirelings. You're definitely going to want them within the game. Put them to the front. But they're not just your average, everyday hirelings. But they do have certain things that certain skills and whatnot that will definitely help you out. They're not just Nodwicks carrying your treasure and torches. And of course, we have mercenaries here, a little bit more skilled than your average hirelings. And then going into spell casting. All right, so again, if it does provide extra spells, who doesn't want extra spells? But if it doesn't, I'm not really going to focus on the difference between that, again, because there's no shortage of a variety of spells in here that have a lot of character and reflect the aesthetics of the game. But there's going to be a lot of standard ones that you're going to be, familiar with. For example, Magic Missile. Who is not, who who's not unfamiliar with Magic Missile, if you played a D&D game or a D&D that's a clone or an OSR style game, but is something different here. So it's a level 1, no spell check. The War Wizard focuses their hatred into darts of pure evil magic. The missile manifests itself uniquely for each War Wizard. At first level, the caster creates 3 darts dealing 1d4 plus 1 damage. They can choose up to 3 targets. The darts ignore both cover and armor. The War Wizard may expend additional chaos points to manifest more darts. 2 chaos points allow for an additional dart, 5 for 2 extra darts, and 8 for 3. Chaos points can be spent to make the darts more powerful as well. So there you go. It's the effect of the chaos points that makes this, relatively mundane spell that exists up and down, the span of all sorts of D&D and D&D-esque and OSR style game. But chaos points here is what's going to allow you to make them more powerful. All right, so as stated, and I do like the fact that the spells here, they're just short, concise, and kind of give you a basic idea of what they do. But of course, as stated, everyone's magic missile looks different, but that's up to the player. So the player can decide. You don't really need a table to give you ideas of what it should be. It just looks different. Yours can be a bunch of pencils, a bunch of playing cards. A bunch of feathers, who cares? It's whatever makes you happy. All right, and there we go. Another thing is ribbon. Class act. Always love books that come with ribbons. The more the better, because you tend to flip back and forth, but having one definitely helps, at least through the initial read, to help you remember where you're at. Especially in a book like this. Again, I'm bringing attention to the format and the style that it's laid out. Every page is different. This is definitely a book, and this is not the only one. There's tons and tons of books that are like this. You're not going to remember where stuff is within this book. So having a ribbon, if you want to highlight and remember something, is nice to have within books like these. All right, carrying on. So we've got different manifestations. These are the prayers, the different types of spells. And then here we are. So most excellent adventure. So it goes into the general aesthetics of the game: time, movement, short rests, long rests, minimal skill checks, dealing with light and darkness, improvisation, that kind of thing. Smell-o-vision grants the ability to see smells. The more rancid the stench, the brighter the color. A rotten pizza covered in gym socks would be bright yellow. While the pleasant smell of the beer wench in town is seen as a dark blue or purple. All right. Well, yeah, again. So let's see here. Carrying on, things like doors and whatnot. So you don't need a copy of D&D. Everything is in this book. Experience points. 1 experience per token. Gold pieces. Gold only. There's no saving copper to cash in for gold pieces of experience points. Oh, that's funny. Never done that. Monster Slain XP. May your seal never dry. And then the blood of your enemies coats its blades. XP for the different ones. Except with knowledge, 1 HD per creature slain is equal to 10 experience points. The party's experience pool. Once all the XP is counted up, the base number is the experience pool. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. All right. So yeah, just standard experience points within the game. Carrying slots and encumbrance. Okay. So this is interesting. This is definitely a point of contention for a lot of game is encumbrance. Each class has a base amount of junk they can carry and is measured in slots. This is an abstract concept to keep the game moving forward without worrying that a PC is encumbered or not. It's easy. 1 slot can be taken up by an item. If it's a two-handed or considered to be too big, it takes up 2 slots. Obviously, this comes with some common sense, yeah. If an item is too big to be stashed in the bag, it can't be carried by means of packs and so on. That said, gold pieces take up 0 slots, and small items such as vitality sticks or small baggies of rainbow powder all take up a slot together, combining like items. Example, whether it's 10 vitality sticks or 5 vitality sticks, they both take up a single slot. Okay. Fighting men cannot carry more than 2 slots without aid due to armor and bulky weapons. War wizards utilize pocket dimensions, enabling them to carry more, as do the star spawn. All right, okay. So, Total Carnage. Never bring a slasher to a blaster fight. So this is going to go through the combat aesthetics of the game, or the combat aspects, I should say, dealing with movement. It's done in, looks like it is done in phases. So we got movement phase, missile attack phase, spell casting phase, ritual casting a spell, and melee attack phase. Again, if you're familiar with BX, you're familiar with how that works. And then we have a nice little combat cheat sheet here, which is great. I love. I'm a fan of cheat sheets. I do love GM screens too, but cheat sheets are definitely a good idea to have, and it's nice that a game provides that, because there's many wonderful people there that will gather all the information and make their own cheat sheets. I look for them all the time, but when a game actually creates one for you to use, thank you so much. This is a definitely a big boon for any GM when they're running a game. So dealing with scoring a critical hit or fumble. And then, as you can see, we've got the total bummer table, and then we've got the different roles depending on your class. So we've got 20 options apiece. I'm just going to look at one for an example. I'm going to look at the Noise Thrasher since he's new. Say we rolled an 11. Freedom Fireworks. The riff is sounding like the Detroit Prime Anthem as it spews magic missiles out of the sick instrument. 6 magic missiles shoot out, hitting any target the Noise Thrasher chooses, dealing 1d4 per dart. All right. So yeah, again, just personality just seeps from this game. All right, so reaction tables, again, BX thing. So different game modes: Saturday morning mode, nightmare mode, ultra nightmare mode. Curious what this is. Okay. So Saturday morning mode. In character creation, roll 46, dropping the lowest for each stat. Okay, so dealing with character creation. So yeah, so it's essentially baby mode. Then we've got nightmare mode, double XP. The longer you last, the less likely you are to be eviscerated. Torches last exactly 1 hour. While in darkness, PCs suffer from -2 penalty to all rolls. A long rest only gains the PC 1d4 hit points. Broken bones just take longer to heal. And then, well, that's not bad enough. We got Ultra Nightmare mode. Triple XP. Torches last exactly 1 hour. While in darkness, you suffer -4 to all rolls. Long rest gains back 1d4 hit points. In addition, injuries have lasting permanent effects. See the injuries table. If you manage to level up, roll your hit dice 2 times. Grab a fantastical weapon to start the game with. You're going to need all the firepower you can get. Monsters get that pesky additional 1 hit dice, and wandering monsters appear at hyper-accelerated rate. All right. Balls to the wall. Okay. And gig ideas on how to kill players. Excellent. Yeah. Pick your poison. Obviously, post-apocalyptic, drugs, and addiction tend to play in most of the games here. Variety of most of those games. So we got a variety of options here with different effects. Smash combat engagement serum. Okay, so yeah, bad trips, drug effects tables. Let's see, what's one of the bad trips? The PC thinks they transform into a monster. They must be slayed. PC deals normal damage to themselves every turn until the drug wears off. Right. So I mean, again, this type of game, it does mirror a lot of the Gonzo aspect of Dungeon Crawl Classics and things such as that. It is not for everyone, but if this is the type of game that you enjoy, one thing I'm going to point out right here is this game has a fantastic fan base. Now, I haven't played this game at all, but I have been following it since the initial Kickstarter and the creation of the wonderful Facebook group that exists for Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland, and likewise the Discord group. The people who love this game are very similar to the people who love DCC. They're rabid about it. They create nonstop. All of them are wonderful people. Well, I mean, for the most part, I don't know anyone who's bad, but there's always going to be a bad apple somewhere. But they're all wonderful people. They're all very involved in this game, and they absolutely love to play it and support it, which is fantastic. It's like I said, it's just like the DCC fan base. They are fans to the core, and they're very open. They love welcoming people into the world of Neon Lords. Brian Shutter is a fantastic individual, and he loves the people that loves his game, and it's just wonderful to see a positive fan base exist and evolve around a game that doesn't take itself too seriously and has the ability to, through its crazy aspects and changing of the rules, create this wonderful group of people who want nothing to do but to further flesh out this game, make it successful, and support it and welcome new people in. So I think that aside from the game itself, that is one of Brian Shutter's greatest achievements. Is the large fan base and the wonderful people that have come together to support his game and make it so much more than what it is within the pages of this book. So, all right, carrying on. All right, so we got conditions and other aspects, mutations, and so I'm going to kind of just flip through here because I'm not going to. This is going to run long if I try to point out every actual change between the book, but for the most part, as we're getting through, yes, the aesthetic wise, 90% or so is identical. It may be in different locations, minor tweaks here or there, but you're technically, the game itself is the same, but you're just getting more. You're getting new characters. You're getting helpful pages within the book. A lot of the format is different to make it a little bit easier to read. So we've got the different areas here, and we got Hell World. Okay. Slay these creeps. So this is going into the bestiary, and again, no shortage of monsters and characters here that just ooze the personality of this game. Excuse me. All right, so again, just no shortage of stuff within this book. And then cyber augmentations. We've got the monster total bummer table, appendices. A is for arm wrestling. So, again, just adding so much to this game just to make it fun and so many different levels. C is for cover optional. And then D is for drunken brawls. D is for dumpster diving. So a lot of appendices, okay, so I think this will be my final comparison. I don't know. I don't recall again if this was in here. So I'm just going to go back here. Boom. Yeah, so some of it is. Okay, so yeah, so you can see C is for cover, D is for drunken brawls. So already you do get the new tables of dumpster diving. F is for fatalities, and so on. M is for mecha armor. So optional rules, but it is providing you with detailed optional rules. It's not just an extra chart of stuff. And N is for neon. Here's a list of movies, video games, comics, and junk that influenced the making of this game. This is by no means an end-all list. So this one interests me. Music in no order. What do we have here? Napalm Death. Yeah, yep. Let's see here. Pig Destroyer, Cannibal Corpse. Yeah, makes sense. Movies in no order. Again, Mad Max, The Warriors, Starship Troopers, Total Recall, Big Trouble in Little China, Revenge of the Ninja, Warriors of the Wasteland, America 3000, wow, Hobo with a Shotgun, Suburban Commando, and about it. Yeah, I mean, a million I can't think of. I can probably, just sit down, give me 5 minutes, and I can come out with maybe about a dozen or so that's not on this list that obviously influenced him in one way or another. Cartoons, Thunder the Barbarian, He-Man, Silverhawks, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Captain N, the Game at Visionaries. Crap, wow. Brave Star, yep. And video games, Battletoads, yes. Castlevania, obviously. Captain Commando, Mega Man, Streets of Rage, Duke Nukem, and so on. And then tabletop games, Chainsaw Warrior, Necromunda, Warhammer Quest, Warhammer 40K, Hero Quest, Electronic Dream Phone, Omega Virus, and Fireball Island. There you go, Brian. You need to make a Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland Fireball Island board game in the same manner of it. NPC Making 101, and P is for power caps, the pogs within the game, so optional pog cap initiative. So yeah, so there's a set of pogs here. I should have grabbed them, but yes, so they can be used for initiative, for fun. It's an extra way. You can use it to play pogs for initiative. Some people will go, that's going to slow down the game, but other people will just absolutely love this, because if you enjoy it, it doesn't slow down the game, it becomes a part of the game. And so, that's a slippery slope when it comes to things like that. It's some people go, well, initiative is pointless, it's stupid, we just want to get to combat. But I mean, this is fun. This is the joy of actually playing the game itself, and not just focusing on certain aspects of it, be it combat, role playing, or whatever. You're just in it from point A to point B. You're there for the ride. It's not the destination, it's the ride. So you want to be a goblin, and Detroit Prime's Most Wanted list, a bunch of names and stuff here, typical OGL stuff. And then, okay, so here we are. So, and then we get to the end of the book. Where are we at in here? Yeah, I'm kind of feeling this was going to be an hour-long one, but definitely want to, focus on as much as I can. So, Space Bulk. Again, 40K influence. So this is one of the biggest differences between the old game and the new one. So I already said I was going to already did my last comparison, but I think this one is important because it's going to give you one of the last focuses. So, so the original printing had a bunch of small adventures. Space Truckers Must Die. And so on. Operation Cherry Bomb. And finally, I believe there was one more. Almost there. Well, was it 2? Okay. Is it 2? Oh, well, yes. So 2. So this one gives you essentially a large singular adventure, Space Bulk. Venture deep within the chaos-ridden derelict spaceships to find strange tech and meet new Xenos. Okay. Space Hulk. To kill them, Space Bulk is a random generator supplement to build wild locations to pit scumdog adventure parties up against. Tons of additional content that can also be added to adventures to take place on Neo-Terraxx and beyond. Simple roll-ups for where the Space Bulk is located, what's in the rooms, and even down to what is the room's layout. It also makes Space Bulk a great addition to Thirsty for More, the solo rules supplement. If this is your first time to Neon Lords of Toxic Wasteland and missed out on the adventures, fear not. They will be available in some capacity, or by the time you read this, they already are. Time to get sci-fi. Toss in a spacesuit and set your blasters to fun and begin countdown. Just make sure you make it back on the planet in one mutated piece. So a little bit, a little mistake in there. So it can be a giant adventure, or it can be used to just randomly generate different stuff, but the primary focus is the Space Bulk. And that was the one thing I was going to kind of question here, but he's already answered it is, one of the things about new printings is not just the new stuff that you get, but what about the stuff that's not in the new one? And that's going to happen. There's 2 good adventures that are in the old printing. In the new printing, they're not there. But he's already said, hey, don't worry about it. You're not going to miss out on those. You're not going to go have to buy, this core rule book just to get those extra adventures. they're going to provide it to you. I don't know if they're going to be for free, if they're going to be PDF only, if they're going to be in an anthology of adventures. But one way or another, these adventures are going to be available for you, to you, for less than the original core rulebook and maybe free. I don't know. So no, this version of Space Bulk is in fact a bit smaller than the standalone version. The adventure section of Space Bulk book was cut from Total Carnage Edition version of the core rules due to its size. Total Carnage Edition got out of control with added-on content and needed something to cut. It came down to the adventure getting the axe. The fun part of the book is rolling up random wild things that can happen. Sit back, grab some scumdog players, and have some fun killing them now in space. So yeah, it's not really an adventure, a complete adventure from beginning to end, but as you can see, you can, create one. There's no shortage of things in here that's going to keep you from creating a wonderful first adventure for Neon Lords. But if randomly generating an adventure is not your thing when you're trying to play a new game or work your way through a new game to learn how it works, as stated there, Brian said there's other adventures that may be available to you. And again, I don't know if they're free. This game is widely supported, and so I wouldn't be surprised if those adventures are free. There's no shortage of free adventures that you can get if you happen to get this particular edition that's going to get you up and running with at least an introduction so you can get the feel of the game and your players can also. All right, so, and then I think it ends with just that. Yes, so. And of course, extra bestiaries, extra little monsters and baddies and whatnot for Space Bulk, and then the character sheet, which I know you can get or download for free online. Nobody uses the character sheets in their books anymore. No one's going to put this on their printer and make a copy of it. You just go get a PDF, but it's still nice to have it in there. It still is. So, all right. And then we got a little bit of stuff on the back. An advertisement, so to speak, of certain things within the game, the pogs that you can get. And kind of like the back of a comic book type advertisement. So I know I've said this probably a dozen times already, but oozing with personality, that is Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland. So the game for me, I enjoy these type of games. I am a DCC diehard fan. I'm a big fan of the Gonzo aesthetic. The weirder, the better. Obviously, gray beard. I do tend to revel in a lot of the nostalgia that from my youth, from the 80s and 90s, when it's done well. Again, as I said very early on in this, this doesn't wallow in it. This is not nostalgia because you miss the past. This is celebrating it. This is taking what you remember certain things to be and how awesome they were. And it's not a historical recreation. It's here to recreate the emotions that you had for these things when you were younger and slap it down so you can enjoy it as an adult. Keep those rose tin glasses on, so to speak. Nothing offensive in here. It is a fantastic nod to those days. And again, cranked up to 11. If you like post-apocalyptic games, this is one that I can highly recommend. It's going to provide you all the weirdness, all the aesthetics, all the things that you would expect, and then some from post-apocalyptic games. It is going to be, it's highly deadly, but it still maintains a large sense of humor, so it doesn't really take itself too seriously as some post-apocalyptic games can be. They can be a little bit on the downer side, but again, if that's what you enjoy, more power to you. I enjoy that also, but I tend to enjoy the more Gonzo-esque things that exist out within the RPG world when it comes to post-apocalyptic things like punk apocalyptic, barbarians of the wasted earth, I think it is. Those kind of things. Those are the ones that I enjoy, not the more serious, we're surviving day by day, eating granulars of sand and and the sweat off of your dead father's back. Whatever. Bad bad description. Anyways, let's see if I can wrap this up real quick. So yes, if you're going to grab a copy of Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland, you will not be disappointed with the old printing. I don't know if it's still available or not, but this second printing is definitely worth picking up if you're new to the game, because not only does it give you everything in the old one, it gives you so much more, and it is definitely in a game that is all encapsulating. Everything you need is right here, but know that there's a wonderful fan base that is going to provide you so much more, and likewise Brian and his wonderful team are going to provide you many more hours of play through the supplements and other things that they do. So yes, without question, pick up a copy of this. I know this one was kickstarted, and the Kickstarter's completed, and I believe the fulfillments are done or almost done. I believe they're done. I don't know if you can get a copy of this yet in the retail world, but definitely check it out and take a look. I'll provide a link in the description, just to kind of point you in the right direction. And again, Brian, thank you for providing this book. You guys did an excellent job, and I feel that the second edition was definitely something that was worth doing. It wasn't just a little cleanup of your prior edition. You did give more to justify, the second printing of this book. So there you go. Where are we at here? We're right on the hour marker. My name's Scott. This has been a poll from the shelf. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you could, go ahead and give a like, maybe subscribe if you're so inclined. And also check out Titterpigs, the tabletop RPG podcast, where my co-host Keith from Rolling Boxcars talk about games, interview people, and discuss a variety of topics within our hobby. We just had our most recent episode is where we had friends of the show, Lloyd and James, to talk about our picks for the 2023 Ennies. And yes, discussions were had on that one. And maybe someday soon we might, would love to get Brian on here to talk more about his game and just about him personally. So thank you all so much. Have a wonderful day. And again, if you can, pick up a copy of Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland. Thank you.